Hashtag Ask Goji Man, what's the deal with gluten? Should I avoid it? Great question, let's get to it. Roll the titles.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way.
Hey everyone, welcome back. It's good to see you again. If you haven't met before, then hi, I'm Goji Man. I'm currently finishing a Masters in Nutrition and qualifying as a nutritionist. And later this year, I'm going to be doing a PhD in nutritional science. I do vegan nutrition videos as often as I can, which answer your health questions under the hashtag AskGojiMan. So if you have a question for me, then hashtag AskGojiMan in the comments below, or alternatively send your video questions through to contact@gojimannutrition.com. As always, just a quick reminder that I am now offering the SIBO, organic acid, stool tests and consults via my website. So if you have any digestive or health problems, then consider taking these tests, as they will provide a lot of detailed information upon which you can start making informed decisions and then start getting your health back on track. And on that bombshell, to the video. So despite what you hear online, unless you have gut problems, then gluten generally won't be a problem for you, unless you have something like celiac disease, which is an autoimmune condition, so therefore it's essential that you avoid gluten. Now, if you have celiac disease, the villi in the small intestines, which are like small finger-like projections, are damaged, and it results in you not being able to absorb nutrients properly. So therefore, really important to get tested for celiac if you have a family history or you have digestive problems from consuming gluten-containing products. Now, the phrase gluten sensitivity has become very widespread over the last 10 years, and while people with gluten sensitivity have a problem with digesting gluten, they don't have the pronounced autoimmune reaction to gluten proteins. So instead of the pronounced autoimmune reaction to gluten, gluten sensitivity reactions tend to be lower level in terms of autoimmune responses, but the symptoms can nonetheless be debilitating. Now, typically people with gluten sensitivity will visit their doctor and they will be told they don't have celiac disease and therefore they don't have a problem with gluten, as doctors will only consider celiac disease and anything above that to be a problem, and everything else doesn't really exist. Now, while there are tests that can help diagnose gluten sensitivity, they are pretty much unreliable, and therefore the gold standard for diagnosing gluten sensitivity is the elimination diet. So this just simply means taking gluten out of your diet for a period of time to see how you feel, and then reintroducing it to see if you get a reaction. Now, I just want to caveat this and say that you probably want to do this under the supervision of a healthcare professional, because if you have other gut problems and health conditions at play, you can cause your health to decline quickly by removing and reintroducing gluten into your diet. Now, when you are on the elimination diet, you will be typically avoiding wheat, barley and rye grains. Now, the main gluten proteins in these grains are what's called gliadin, and this is the protein that causes the most problems for people. Now, there are a proportion of people who are gluten sensitive who remove gluten from their diets in the elimination approach who still don't feel any better. And typically the most common cause for this is that they are consuming oats, corn and rice. Now, these products could be cross-contaminated with gluten during the manufacturing process, especially if the factory processes gluten-containing products. What you also need to be aware of is that many of the proteins in oats, corn and rice resemble the protein structure of gluten proteins, so even when there is no cross-contamination, some people will react to the proteins in oats, corn and rice in a negative similar way to gluten-containing foods. So as I said earlier, the problem with gluten sensitivity testing is that it is very inaccurate. But obviously gluten contains many different proteins and epitopes. So in terms of gluten, gliadin is the main protein, and there are many epitopes, which simply means the part of an antigen molecule on which the antibody attaches itself. So the problem with gliadin and testing is that there are many different epitopes such as alpha, beta, gamma and omega. So if you are doing testing and the lab is only looking for alpha epitopes and it's not checking the beta, gamma or omega epitopes, then they will never spot that you potentially have a gluten sensitivity problem. Now, as I said earlier, it's typically those with compromised guts who run into gluten sensitivity issues. This is because when you eat gluten with compromised digestion, it causes a protein called zonulin to be released in your gut. And zonulin is a protein that modulates the permeability of the junctions of the cell walls in your digestive tract. So if you eat gluten, this will then go into the gut, increase the amount of zonulin and then cause the junctions to pull apart, allowing undigested proteins into your bloodstream, which will then trigger those gluten sensitivity issues. So long and short of it, if you have problems with gluten, rule out celiac disease with your doctor. And if you have celiac disease, then you obviously need to avoid gluten, or it can cause many serious health implications longer term. And if you have gluten sensitivity, then you need to establish why. So do you have SIBO, parasites, leaky gut, or other gut issues that make it very difficult for you to be able to break down gluten? If you do, then you need to address these problems before reintroducing gluten into your diet, because wheat products will need to be removed from your diet to help heal your gut. After this, if you have tried to reintroduce gluten and your body doesn't like it for whatever reason, then you may be in the small percentage of people that is no longer able to digest gluten, and it will always be a problem for you. And this could have been triggered by many things such as antibiotic use, other medications, and even poor diets. Anyway, that's the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed. As always, remember to look after your body because it's the only place you have to live. And I'll see you next time.